Episode 82, A Rendezvous with a Beauty. Flirting with me again? Ningxi happily left the company, sending a text message to Lu Tingxiao as she walked. Sugar little she, boss, are you free now? I might need to trouble you a bit. Meanwhile, in a workshop at a factory belonging to the Lu Group, a group of high-level executives surrounded the ice-cold boss in a black suit. The factory manager, leading the way, was passionately introducing the high-tech equipment in the factory, boasting about their achievements. Midway through his speech, a ding sound, like a notification for a text message, interrupted him. Lu Tingxiao lowered his head to check the message, then immediately raised his hand to signal for silence. The factory manager, initially immersed in his speech, was reminded by the deputy factory manager beside him. He promptly shut his mouth nervously. Lu Tingxiao's phone received a message, and he immediately made a call in response. On the other end, Ningxi anxiously picked up the call. Boss? Yeah, what's the matter? Lu Tingxiao asked. On the other end of the phone, the leaders around Lu Tingxiao involuntarily trembled when they heard their boss speak. Damn, who was he talking to? His voice was unexpectedly gentle. Yes, I have a little issue. Are you available to take a call? Ningxi inquired. Sure, go ahead, tell me, Lu Tingxiao responded. At this moment, a group of Lu Tingxiao's high-level leaders, big and small, surrounded him, eagerly awaiting his conversation. Ningxi continued, I've selected the script for my next drama, but there's no one to review it. Second young master is on vacation, and we can't reach him. It seems he won't be back for 3 months. Lu Tingxiao immediately understood the situation. He spoke directly, I'm currently inspecting the workshop, and it'll be over soon. Go directly to my company and wait for me. I'll be back shortly. The leaders around Lu Tingxiao were stunned, their boss actually said such a long sentence at once. Especially the factory manager, who had just reported enthusiastically, was even more dumbfounded. He had spoken so much, and in the end, the boss only said one word from start to finish. That word was yeah. What did he mean by almost finished? He hadn't reported so many details yet. Ningxi said, you're inspecting the workshop. What about being available to take calls? In a hurry, Ningxi quickly summarized, alright, I'll go to your company and wait for you. Yeah, Lu Tingxiao replied and hung up the phone. He glanced at his assistant, Qing Feng, and instructed, make a call to arrange it. Let Xiaofeng take her directly to my office. Yes, I'll do it now. Qing Feng, having been with Lu Tingxiao for a long time, naturally understood that when the boss spoke in that tone and length, he was talking to Miss Ningxi. Qing Feng immediately acknowledged and went to make the call. Hello, Secretary Feng, this is Qing Feng. Assistant Qing, do you have something? It's like this, there will be a Miss Ning coming to see Mr. Lu later. Just take her directly to Mr. Lu's office. Directly to Mr. Lu's office? Is that appropriate, Assistant Qing? Are you sure it's not the meeting room? Secretary Feng was somewhat doubtful, considering the confidentiality of Mr. Lu's office. How could they bring someone in without the owner being present? Sure, do it as I said. Also, be polite and treat her well, Qing Feng kindly reminded. Yes, I got it. The young secretary responded nervously. When Qing Feng returned after doing the favor, he saw his boss glance at the factory manager beside him. Then, Lu Tingxiao softly spoke, cut to the chase, you have 3 minutes. The factory manager was dumbfounded. 3 minutes for what? Unable to do anything, he had to swallow the saliva and forcefully suppress the lengthy discourse he had been preparing. He began to sweat profusely, desperately thinking about how to condense 30 minutes of content into 3 minutes. Qing Feng returned to Lu Tingxiao's side, silently glancing at the factory manager's distressed expression. He couldn't help shaking his head and sighing in his heart. 3 minutes, be content. When the boss says something in 30 seconds, that's not bad. Finally, the factory manager could only quickly explain the most crucial points about profits and costs. Due to the rushed compression, and seeing the boss's terrifying expression, he stuttered a bit. After finishing, he looked at Lu Tingxiao with a gaze that seemed resigned. Having a chance to showcase himself in front of the big boss, he ended up stumbling over his words. Could it be any more unfortunate? Lu Tingxiao looked at his watch. Another Did this mean he passed? Was it actually this easy? Lu Tingxiao said, back to the company. The group of high-level leaders from the Lu Group was stunned for a moment, then hastily followed Lu Tingxiao out. Lu Corporation's office building. Ningxi, holding the script, walked up to the front desk. Hello, I need a favor. I'm here to see Mr. Liu. To avoid being recognized, Ningxi wore a white mask. Do you have an appointment? The receptionist asked without lifting her head. No, but I... Before Ningxi could finish her sentence, the receptionist directly interrupted her, skillfully refusing. I'm sorry, without an appointment, you should make one first. Even if you have an appointment, it's not possible to see Mr. Liu now. His schedule is booked for the next 3 months. Every day, many people tried various excuses to see Mr. Liu. Some even waited at the gate for days and nights without leaving. The receptionist had seen it all, so she casually tried to send people away. But I've already talked to Mr. Liu, Ningxi began to speak. Talk to Mr. Liu? Who are you? Someone who can talk directly to Mr. Liu? Before Ningxi could finish her sentence, the receptionist suddenly remembered the call from Qingfeng a moment ago. Wait a moment. Miss, may I ask for your surname? My surname is Ning. As soon as the receptionist heard this, she immediately became enthusiastic, smiling warmly. Ah, so you're Miss Ning. Assistant Qing has already informed me. Please follow me, and I'll take you there. Ningxi looked at the receptionist with some speechlessness as she witnessed the sudden change. Thank you. While leading the way, the receptionist continued to glance at the mysterious woman in front of her. Wearing a mask, so mysterious. Listening to Assistant Cheng's voice on the phone, this woman seemed to have a close relationship with Mr. Liu. Considering the recent rumors in the company that the boss had a woman by his side. The rumor even said that the woman was the popular actress Su Yimo. Could it be this woman in front of her? However, looking at her low-key appearance, she didn't seem to match Su Yimo's style. Miss Ning, this is it. Please come in, and I'll pour you a cup of tea. Thank you. Ningxi thanked her and entered Lu Tingxiao's office. Ningxi stood in the center of the room, carefully surveying her surroundings. This was her first time in Lu Tingxiao's office. The room truly reflected its owner's style, entirely composed of cold tones, metallic and glass textures, devoid of any warmth or liveliness. As she looked around, she couldn't help but compare it to the ostentatious decoration style of Xingshi Entertainment. She couldn't resist mocking the vast difference in aesthetic taste between the two brothers. While lost in thought, the secretary entered. Miss Ning, the tea is ready. Please have a seat and wait. The secretary not only brought tea but also a pile of exquisite snacks. Thank you, you've been very kind. Ningxi expressed her gratitude. Not at all, not at all. The secretary waved her hand and hesitated to leave. Ningxi, holding the teacup, noticed the secretary lingering and became suspicious. Miss Secretary, is there anything else? No. Please enjoy your tea. The secretary came to her senses and quickly retreated. Ah, what a pity. She wanted to wait until she took off her mask to see what she looked like. Ningxi chuckled as she realized the secretary's intentions. It seemed that Lu Tingxiao's subordinates were also gossiping. Ningxi sat down on the sofa, removed her mask, sipped her tea, and, at that moment, her peripheral vision caught sight of a thick booklet on the coffee table. What was this? It didn't seem like some kind of document? Meanwhile, Lu Tingxiao and his high-level executives had arrived at the company entrance in a hurry. Everyone was on edge. What on earth had happened for the boss to be in such a rush? Lu Tingxiao got out of the car, about to enter the building. After a few steps, he suddenly remembered something, and his entire expression changed. Earlier, although he was urgent, his face was calm. Now, however, it was as if a storm was brewing, and the whole sky was about to collapse. Seeing this expression, the high-level executives were scared out of their wits. Was the company going to collapse? Lu Tingxiao cursed under his breath, then quickened his pace, striding toward the front desk. Hello, Mr. Liu. Seeing him, Secretary Fang quickly greeted. Has she arrived? Lu Tingxiao asked sternly. She? The secretary was startled by the boss's terrifying expression and hesitated for a moment before realizing. Mr. Liu, are you referring to Miss Ning? Yes. She's been waiting for you in your office. What? Lu Tingxiao's complexion became even more frightening. The secretary was almost scared to tears. And Mr. Liu, is there a problem? Assistant Qing told me to bring that lady to your office and wait. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's expression, Qingfeng, standing on the side, also panicked, thinking, didn't you instruct me to have her wait in your office? Lu Tingxiao pinched his brow and asked in a deep voice, how long has she been waiting? The secretary trembled as she glanced at the time, approximately 7 or 8 minutes. Lu Tingxiao didn't say anything more. With a darkened face, he walked quickly toward the direction of the elevator. Behind him, the secretary anxiously stopped Cheng Feng. Assistant Cheng. What's going on? Did I do something wrong? Mr. Liu instructed me to bring her to his office. I even double-checked with you. At this moment, Cheng Feng also had an embarrassed look. Ask me? Who should I ask? Don't be too nervous. I'll check the situation and tell you later. Then hurry up. The secretary cried anxiously. Every second of waiting was torture. After coming out of the elevator, Lu Tingxiao tugged at his tie, and his entire demeanor changed. He almost ran all the way to his office. Along the way, the employees working in the office all wore expressions of disbelief. Damn, why did the person who just sprinted past look a bit like our boss? Finally, they arrived at the office door. With a loud bang, Lu Tingxiao forcefully pushed the door open. Inside the office, Ningxi sat quietly on the sofa, holding the conspicuous thick booklet with a bright red cover. Seeing the booklet in the girl's hands, Lu Tingxiao's usually calm and composed eyes revealed a momentary ripple. Even his voice trembled slightly. Ningxi. Ningxi blinked in surprise, looking at Lu Tingxiao, who had suddenly barged in. She noticed his solemn expression, slightly panting breath, and even his tie and clothes were a bit disheveled. Boss, what happened to you? Ningxi asked in confusion. Lu Tingxiao walked step by step toward her, his gaze coldly fixed on the booklet in her hands. Seeing his expression, Ningxi quickly apologized. I'm sorry. I saw it here. It shouldn't be any confidential information. I unconsciously picked it up and took a look. She finished speaking and quickly arranged the booklet, not daring to move it anymore. Ningxi, this thing was placed here by my mother. I haven't looked at it. Lu Tingxiao's back was tense, and there was a subtle tension in his tone that was not easily noticeable. Oh, Ningxi scratched her head. Don't you trust me? Huh? Of course, I do. You. Lu Tingxiao seemed not very good at explaining. After a while, he sternly said, don't be angry. These were arranged by my parents on their own. I have no intention of blind dates. Consider it their arrangement, I won't go. Previously, he was full of joy because the girl he liked took the initiative to text him, but he forgot about this crucial matter. When he arrived at the company's entrance, he remembered that the blind date booklet was still in his office, and Ningxi had already been inside for quite a while. She might have seen it. Ningxi finally understood everything when she heard this. She stood there in shock, her face full of surprise. Lu Tingxiao rushed over for this, and got so anxious? In an instant, there was an indescribable feeling in her heart. She had indeed considered giving her all to fight for any possibility, but never selfishly hoped that Lu Tingxiao would wait for her until the end. If he encountered someone he liked more, she would definitely bless him. At most, she would drown her sorrows in 3,000 glasses of wine when that time came. Ningxi raised her head, gazing at the man in front of her with a soft expression. Lu Tingxiao, you don't have to be like this. There's a saying, how does it go? The world is so big, you can go and see. Maybe you'll meet a girl you like more. Lu Tingxiao almost blurted out the words the moment her voice fell. Ningxi, there is no one else. You are my whole world. The great demon king can now speak sweet words without thinking. Cough, let's not talk about this. Boss, your time is precious. Please take a look at this script. Ningxi timely presented the script. Lu Tingxiao carefully observed Ningxi's expression, making sure she wasn't angry. Finally, he let out a sigh of relief. Wait a moment. After saying that, he took off his tie, removed his coat, and hung it on the coat rack. She wasn't angry, he should have felt relieved. However, there was still a deep sense of loss in his heart. Not being angry simply meant not loving, not caring. When Lu Tingxiao wasn't paying attention, Ningxi muttered a few sentences of a calming spell to avoid watching Lu Tingxiao undress. Damn, flirting with me again. Flirting with me again. After taking off his coat, Lu Tingxiao adjusted his sleeves and said, I might take a while to go through this. You can go to the lounge and get some sleep. Your complexion doesn't seem too good. Ningxi rubbed her dark circles under her eyes. I was too excited last night. I read the script all night. Lu Tingxiao said, go get some sleep. I'll call you when I'm done. It's not good for the boss to be working while I'm sleeping. Ningxi felt it was inappropriate. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. You won't be able to help me if you don't sleep. Sleeping, on the other hand, will put my mind at ease. Ningxi said, all right then. It would be better to avoid being in the same space with the great demon king. He couldn't control his flirtatious powers anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, Ningxi swiftly entered the lounge. Although the lounge had a simple and cold design, perhaps because it was a place where the Great Demon King had slept, it had a hint of warmth. Wait a minute. Where the Great Demon King slept? She was sleeping here so directly? Just as she was pondering, her phone made a ding sound, indicating a new message. Lu Cabbage, the bed sheets and covers were just changed to new ones. Did the Great Demon King have an emperor's perspective? Terrifying. Outside the lounge, Lu Tingxiao imagined Ningxi's expression after reading the message, and a smile unconsciously appeared on his lips. Next, Lu Tingxiao focused on reading the script. Ningxi had indeed been overly excited the previous night, not getting any sleep. She had just put her head down on the pillow and entered a sweet dream. Inside the office, everything was peaceful and quiet. However, outside the office at this moment, it was still a chaotic hell. Ever since witnessing Lu Tingxiao running back to the company, all the employees were in a state of panic. It's over. I'm sure something big has happened this time. Who is our boss? He remains calm in the face of a crisis, but this time, he ran around the company without caring about his image. I heard that when he was at the company's entrance downstairs, his expression was terrifying. Even the front desk secretary, Fong, was scared to tears. In a short time, everyone turned to Cheng Feng. Assistant Cheng, if you know any inside information, don't keep us in the dark. Our hearts are about to jump out due to anxiety. Yes. Just tell us directly. Is the company facing a major crisis? Are we going to lose our jobs? Tell us, give us some mental preparation. Just now, there was a woman who seemed to be holding some documents and entered President Lu's office. Did she report some bad news? Cheng Feng was surrounded by a group of people, completely overwhelmed. I beg you all, stop asking. I really don't know anything. Just wait quietly. Actually, he was certain it wasn't a problem with the company. But even if it wasn't a company problem, he couldn't be at ease. Because it involved that Miss Ning, making the matter even more complicated. Time slowly passed. The sun gradually set, and it was soon time to leave work. Every employee sitting at their desks had an expression as if they were waiting for death, and no one dared to stand up and leave. President's office. Lu Tingxiao's gaze fell in the direction of the lounge, as if he had been looking at it for a long time. After a while, he suddenly returned to his senses, glanced at the time, and realized he had finished reading the script. He stood up and walked to the door of the lounge, knocking gently. Inside, everything was quiet, without a sound. Lu Tingxiao made a gentle movement, pushing open the door to the lounge.